Up next, we are unboxing and testing out the CNDLIVE NDI encoder. ijdm starts now.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Okay, getting right into this. We were trying a different mic. I'm kind of fooling with different things and moving stuff around, so we'll see how this audio sounds on this video. Which is funny because we were testing some, I guess you call it prosumer or professional, some people call it professional video gear. So on that note, let's just go ahead and open the box, see what we got here. We have the encoder, and I gotta say, this thing is a brick. It is a brick. And these people contacted me from CNDLIVE. I did not know much about them. They said, hey, do you want to test this? We're going to send it to you. You review it, test it out, tell us what you think. And as a interesting curve, which I guess these things might be a little more expensive to just give away on reviews, they said, and then please send it back to us. So I am basically borrowing this from them, and appreciate them sending it. So this is the X1 CNDLIVE, and it appears that, as I said, I didn't look them up, but it looks like it has a screen on it. But because I'm sending this back, I'm not going to peel off this thing, because this is obviously being used for other reviews on other channels. And it looks like you got your trusty 1/4-inch mount there. You have your connections on this side. You got your LAN port, USB, the Type-C USB, a place to bring in a microphone. We can test that out maybe. HDMI in, we have another USB port. This one's black, this one's white, so maybe just be two. I don't know, that's interesting. Then we have the SDI in, which, yeah, that's a preferred method just because SDI signals tend to travel better over distances than HDMI. So if you're going for like a 50-foot run, you may be okay with HDMI, but you're better off going with SDI, anything beyond 50 feet. Some people say 75, 100. SDI, I've ran easily 100 feet with no issues, where HDMI, you have to have an amplifier and all that craziness. So that is it. Are we even in focus here? It's really hard to see on my little screen. And this is about the size of pretty much a phone screen, I guess you could say. Just looking at it compared to what I'm filming on, it's roughly the same size. You got about, roughly about, what we say, 4 or 5 inches there. Anyway, and there's nothing else really on the unit other than your, like I said, your 1/4-inch, power button there. And I guess this is another sticker of identification or something. It looks like you can mount this either way. And then a place for an SD card there. And then it looks like, oh, wait a minute here. Hang on a second. Has this thing got a little surprise I wasn't quite expecting? Is this what I think it is? Yeah, it is. This is 3 slots for little cards you use in phones, basically SIM cards. So this somehow must also be able to connect with cellular. Yeah, we're not going to be able to jump right into this. They did give me a USB to USB cable. And then the power supply there. So I guess it's powered by USB. So let's just take a quick look. We usually don't do it. We usually throw these instructions away. So we got the X. Okay, spit it out now. ijdm starts now. X1 4G bonding encoder. And this is the quick guide, as it says. Tells what the device is, the interfaces, cooling holes, and I just want to confirm, yeah, SIM 123, getting started. So you'll obviously hook it into your network. And I'm not sure if this is wireless HDMI or if it's wired NDI. There is 2 versions of it, so to speak. One's wired, one's unwired. And then, of course, if you go into NDI, then there's different forms of it as well. Different codecs have changed over the years with the HX encoder and all that. Okay, video signal application. So this is setting up. I'm not going to show all this on camera. This is something pretty much you just go ahead and pop that information in, and I may show the menu real quick while I'm doing it, but other than that, it tells you software update. But I'm not seeing anything about the SIM card. configuration, live streaming. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, maybe a future use thing for maybe a firmware update, or maybe it just works out of the box. I'm not sure, but yeah, 3 SIM card. So the idea of the SIM card is it would connect to a wireless network. So say here, if you live in the area I live in, your main choices for obviously the 3 big carriers would be Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. Well, maybe it'd be Verizon, AT&T, then T-Mobile would be your top 3. And you would basically have a SIM card that allows you a hotspot or access to the cellular network. And the idea is you'd be using one, but if something happens, that signal gets flaky, it would switch over to the other 2 or use all 3 in tandem, I believe. I haven't experimented much with that. I would like to see more about these hotspots and so forth, but unfortunately, I don't really need one. I wouldn't have much use for it, so that is that. So let's go ahead and stop down and stop gabbing and get this hooked up and running and see what I think. Okay, a little change of angle just to make things a little easier and so forth and so on. Got everything connected up. A few things I might have said in my initial thoughts of the unit before I actually powered everything up. First thing, yeah, check this out. You unplug power. Yeah, nope, we're good there. It runs off of battery. Now, as far as the LAN connection, well, yeah, you're fine there. You can unplug it. There it is right there, WLAN, wireless LAN. Can also use the 4G module, so you can send your signal out. If you don't have a LAN nearby, you can actually use cellular service to do it. So well done on that. Encoding, you have your 1080 in, basically. I don't believe this goes to 4K. I think it just said 1080 encoder. And you can use the SDI, as I pointed out, which I prefer, but I just use the HDMI encoding. That's pretty much that. And you can change your mainstream and your substream depending if you're using rtsp or rtmp. That's pretty cool. And you can adjust all those settings as well. Streaming. Here's where we run into an issue. Not saying anything bad about this unit, but they need to fix this. Watch what happens. And I've tried resetting, rebooting, redoing everything, resetting the unit to factory. Same thing keeps on happening. I want to use the NDI mode. Hit that. And maybe they said something in their email like they're still working on it or whatever. But the unit, yeah, basically it just goes black. And then some units have to reboot when it goes to NDI mode. But yeah. And you go there and there's a bunch of stuff there. And then watch what happens. It'll do something weird and bloop, just goes back to the previous setting. Which I did preset up the rtsp. So I got it on rtsp on channel 1. So the next thing I need to do, and I could hook this wirelessly, but I'm going to use it wired today, just because I noticed the battery was only at like 7% or whatever. And it's easier hooking to LAN, because then I would have to obviously get my password and all that into the wireless network. And then there's your system menu where you can just see what version they're using. Probably also, I guess I don't see anything on firmware update. Usually you just insert the card, your SD card, but you can record to this unit, which is really cool. Now, as far as the screen goes, yeah, that's first thing in the NDI that needs to be addressed, and this kind of doesn't really need to be addressed. If you're using this as a monitor, if you're just interviewing somebody, fine and dandy, but it's got like a jelloing effect. And I mean, I usually film most of my videos in 24 frame rate. And that's not what's happening here. I mean, if you look at the 2 monitors between the camera and whatever, you can see how it's kind of jumpy. It's kind of jelloing. Yeah, that's kind of a thing that you don't want. Now, as far as where is this actually going? Well, let's just take the camera and go right over here without even cutting or doing any fancy shenanigans and stuff. No, I don't want to exit. I must have bumped the mouse there. Let's get this full screen, and yeah, there's the camera coming in. So yeah, it's a little laggy, but my computer is hooked up, and I am using rtsp, and that's not really what rtsp is about. But still, it should be a little like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, I could try rtmp or one of the other protocols, or HLS. It might be a little bit better, but the idea with using NDI or ndihx is that it's really, really quick. And that being said, I am going to try on the other screen while we're on the topic of NDI, which I think is the most important part of this unit, considering that's pretty much the future, is I'm going to turn on my handy dandy NDI monitor and just see if it is sending a signal out, and I just hadn't tried it. You never know. It could be there, and you'd figure it'd tell you something that it's already going. Okay, so yeah, I'm not seeing any NDI devices on my network. So it's not even showing up. Yeah, and then let's just check this real quick. If we try to add another source, yeah, that's not what you think it is there. It's definitely not there. It would be under remote camera, and you would have, it would have it listed in there. But that'll do it for this video and the review for the CNDLIVE X1 unit. I do overall like this unit. I think it's a great idea. I think it's well received. I think get the screen and maybe some of the lagginess out and the NDI, but this is version 1 of the software, and I think this thing is still kind of in a beta phase. So I think once they get those few things worked out, this is going to be a good future product. I mean, I can really see these things being handy with the wireless capabilities, and I think the big bonus here is the cellular. I would love for them to gift me one of these so I could play around with it more and do more videos on it, because I got some different applications that I've thought of with these NDI devices that really could basically consolidate the way you set up your home theater, or you're doing something with your office or production cameras. There's some big benefits to this technology. That'll do it for this ijdm. Be sure to subscribe, check out my Patreon page, so on and so forth. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.